Yeah.
I'm glad that you have the security guards to do that instead of you guys or parents. So.
Yeah, I don't know,
11 p.m.
that's why we've always gone with peak.
Yeah.
I have,
Yeah.
is the security guards.
Then you can sleep.
I can't.
And I guess I got one.
Well, I know. Well, that's what I was
Imagine not
thinking. How do
sleeping
you?
And then because you were up for security and then
Yeah.
they're doing everything they're doing. So
Because I think in the past, had you in the middle of the night, I think that there were people on previous trips that had to stay up, or it wasn't, and so that would be very undesirable, I would say. So the security guards are much
It's
better.
a benefit on our part after
The day.
heading
Yeah.
to the parks all day.
Disney is
Yes.
no joke. Okay, good.
I got one
One more?
last, I'm sorry. The trip insurance, you say, Peak suggests an insurance fee of. Is that, when you say they suggested, that's the cost of the insurance for the trip per student?
Sorry, I'm trying to pop.
Right in the emergency plans, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
And is that, are we telling the students that that's, I hate to use the word mandatory, but
It's obviously, it's under so the one other benefit to what Peak has changed in the past, when we've last did it, PMA paid Peak the balance. So what would happen is when we had these payment nights, we would go through the payment plans and then send a big lump sum to Peak. Now Peak deals directly with each family in terms of collecting money, which is nice because now we're
Okay.
not even.
so the money's not funneling through the school?
Correct.
Okay.
It goes, what used to happen is there used to be a $25, $30 charge fee to using your card. Now that's just built into the cost as it serves now. So what will happen is when we have our initial meeting, obviously the insurance isn't mandatory, but we'll explain
Just
based on the time period of the year.
Make it
And
painfully clear, yeah.
Yes, with the weather as it is, it's a risk you run. Now, I will say for Peak, I had, previous to being in Pennridge, I was on a trip that a transportation department of the district we worked in thought we were leaving at 3 p.m. instead of 3 a.m. And then, long story short, we ended up getting to the airport 6 hours later after our flights. And the primary director that we were traveling with was on the phone with Peak, and they rerouted and got 4 separate flights, separated the staff on the flights, and got us there at no extra charge. So they will truly do
What they have
anything,
to.
everything they can to get you down there.
Okay.
Obviously, if we're talking crazy weather or something like that, we can't get there, that's the risk that is run in it, but that is why we will certainly make the insurance very, very clear that it's not a bad peace of mind.
Good.
Okay. Anybody else have anything?
I just have a quick question. This is not really that important, but the Disney meal cards that they're getting,
Yes.
is that Disney issued? Is Disney issuing them, or is that issued, is it something that you're issuing for them to use, or is it issued by Disney?
I believe it's issued by Disney, so when we get down there with the coach buses, we're met by a Peak travel agent.
Okay.
And every morning, he would give me a stack. And
Of the
as
cards?
yes, and they have to be Disney issued because they have Mickey logos on them
Okay.
as I think about
So
it.
they can, are they compatible with,
Everything.
if the student wants to use the app, will the card work with the app? Because now they have the Disney on
I
Wheels.
am
And
not.
you can get a lot of food for $15 if you
You
use
can.
the app.
You certainly can. I'm not 100% sure if it works with the app. When we were down there in 2017, it didn't. They didn't have the app at that point.
Okay.
We just gave them the cards as they got off of the bus. And then the nice thing is, it's not like they expire at the end of the day. So there were some kids who, they were going on so many rides, so they would eat, and then we went to dinner together.
And then they could use them.
And then they save it, and they have
Oh, good.
$15 more the next day. So there were some kids that were going to
I think-
nicer Italian restaurants for
Right,
$20 meals on the last day because they could.
okay, good,
So.
good. And I know food to me is important for the kids.
Well, they're running all day. I want them to be well
They're
fed.
gonna be hungry.
Okay. Does anybody else have anything to add? Ask?
If you know, it were to be, if you couldn't go at this time, is there any, would you be able to organize another time, or would you not do that? It's just something I was thinking. I know it would be
If
difficult.
it didn't work for
but-
December?
Well, yeah, I mean, would you still try and go, do you think, or
I
would you
think,
just kind of say, oh, well?
at least for the coming year, it would be very difficult for us to find time, because part of the reason we chose the time that we did was we looked at the testing windows, we looked at where we're likely to have county band, district band, all-state band, the musical, and the spring gets, one of the reasons we wanted to travel with all three groups is because we're trying to work very hard for them to experience the music that each of them makes separately, because we don't get a huge amount of exposure to each other. And it's a nice idea to be able to go down together, support each other in that, and experience that together. But with our schedules being so conflicting, it's very hard once you hit spring.
Okay. We'll just make vision boards.
Okay. All right, so everybody's comfortable with moving forward with this? Sounds good? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. So this one, we would like to then move to the January board meeting as a
Yeah.
motion.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
She wanted to ask the two gentlemen to stay so she could ask questions
Oh,
during the
okay.
comment period.
Okay. All right, we're gonna jump back then to the Key Club convention. Mrs. Hoffman?
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Rachel Hoffman, nice to meet you.
So we did not talk yet about this trip as far as an overview, but Rachel is here to answer any questions. And so this is a March 2019 trip, and there would be one school day missed for this one, Friday, March 29th. Any questions for this trip for Ms. Hoffman?
This was for the 4 students?
Sorry, my computer decided to do a security scan.
Did you want to talk a little bit about the last time the trip was run?
Yeah.
The last time it was run was not actually by me, it was Kara Gersh and Brooke Roush-Fergie. I've been doing Key Club with Julie Grimshaw, one of the English teachers, for the past, I think this is our 4th year. I've taken students overnight twice before with FCCLA to competitions, and one was in Seven Springs and one was in Lancaster. This one is basically for Key Club, it's what they call it DCON. It's basically the district convention for Pennsylvania. As we've gotten kind of more into Key Club and kind of, we're running it like a well-oiled machine, I'd like to think now. We have several officers, and we also have officers at large. Last year, 2 years ago, one of our students was the lieutenant governor for our district. So her mom and Kara went out to the conference on their own. Last year, we sent 3 students to kind of like a leadership conference, just at Camp Conrad Weiser. It was just in Warnersville. They were actually 3 of our exchange students that came to Pennridge and joined Key Club, and one of the for boat sports. So there's a lot of leadership, public speaking, things like that. So this basically, I had 4 seniors that are some of our officers that approached us and said that they really wanted to go to DCON to check it out. They thought it would be really great. They have a ton of different things, icebreakers. They get to meet students from all over Pennsylvania that are also in Key Club. For Key Club, if you're not, if you don't really know much about it, it's our largest club at Pennridge. We have almost 300 students that are members. These students all have to complete 50 hours minimum of volunteer work every school year, or the summer leading up to. It's basically from May 1st to April 30th. It's basically works with the Upper Bucks Kiwanis. It's affiliated with that, but we do tons of volunteering around the Percy area, the Pennridge community. We try to do events here at the school, go to elementary schools. We did a lot of the shopping that the kids did, like the little kids, like the holiday shops. So a lot of the PTOs, PTUs, they call us a lot for things. So basically, we do all this volunteering, so they really wanted to meet other students. There's some leadership workshops, such as, Youth Serving Youth, which is our district project, public speaking, learning tips and tricks to improve your public speaking, service projects, key leader, just a lot of, I think, and then there's some outside people that are going to do some different things. Different presentations about things that go on in the state of Pennsylvania. So I just think it'll be a great opportunity for the students to meet, greet, learn about other things, and bring that all back to our chapter here at Pennridge.
I have a question. How come it's only 4 to 6 students if you have like 300 kids in the club?
Just because those are we put it out there and we see how many people want to do it, want to go.
Do you have a minimum number of students that you're required to go in order to actually?
Not necessarily. We
So
got
if you had
4,
one?
and if we had 1, I probably wouldn't, just because of costs.
Right.
I mean, right now I have 4 girls, so
Mhm.
luckily they can share a room, so.
Is there
Well,
ever been a number that you can't go at a certain point? Because I'm just thinking how not more going if there's not many.
I think because we've never gone with them, so maybe this would be the start of it. I don't know how many students, I wanna say Kara and Brooke took maybe like 10 students, but I'm not really sure. That was, I think, like at least 5 years ago, 4 years ago, before I took over. But I mean, I would be open to it. I think it's kind of opening that door because you ask students if they're interested, and as we all know, students are inundated with work, jobs outside of school, sports, extracurriculars. So for some students, this is also the same weekend as the DC trip with Mr. Bush. So I think that was a big thing that my 4 were like hemming and hawing, and I was like, do whatever you want to do, you know, like whichever sounds better. So they wanted to go to this instead.
So your total cost for the 4 plus the advisor would be $1080, is that correct? Or is there another total cost? 'Cause-
No, well, I'm not really sure. I tried to get the school van. They didn't tell me how much that would cost.
Oh, I
Because
see.
I couldn't, until it's approved, then I can request it, and then I can
gotcha.
find out.
Okay.
But the students are paying their own,
Right now, we do have money, in the bank. We have about $2,500. We get, donations. We got a $500 donation from, a local church. And we've got some, we did a Yankee Candle fundraiser. We've got a couple more in the works for the students to kind of collect the money. We're trying our best to not have the students have to pay anything, but if it happens, you know, we said maybe like 50, could be 100, but we're hoping that we can try to contain all the costs.
that's fine.
Yeah.
So the Pennridge, so how many are in the Key Club altogether?
About almost 300.
Okay, so the funds that you have for Key Club would be for activities for all of the students?
True, yes, for all the students. We also use some of the funds to buy supplies to invite elementary school students. We've done different things in the past, like read for the record,
Okay.
and we've bought, done little, snacks and bought books so that we could donate the books.
Well, I just have a concern that you would be using funds raised for an activity for only 4 to 6 students when the funds should be, that's just,
I get what you're saying, but
Yeah,
I
I know.
mean, we put it out there for a good 3 months, like since the beginning of
Yeah.
school. If you're interested, let
Okay.
us know, so,
okay.
yeah.
So, I guess I have a question, Dr. Price, how this works on the cost for the van includes a driver from the transportation department?
Correct.
And how does that, it says, but will be picked up by the Key Club, how does that cross-charging occur?
I'm a
I mean,
driver.
if you will.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how,
No, we don't send a
so
driver.
she's a driver.
Well, okay, all
We
right,
just get the van.
all right. I wasn't sure how we did that. I wasn't sure if, because I know when we went to the conference, we had to have a authorized driver.
Yeah, and I'm sure your driver's license is on file and they have all that information,
Yeah,
right?
so she's
Yeah.
an
Okay.
employee,
All
so
right,
she's an
that's
authorized
fine.
driver.
You're fine then, okay. Fine.
Okay,
Anything else?
anybody else?
I think it'll be a good thing for them. I
It's a
hope
good
more will go.
experience,
That's what I'm hoping.
As the
I
years
think
go
once
on.
you kind of like grease the wheels.
Yeah,
and
well,
you
they
have more
should,
kids and.
we have to encourage them to do leadership.
Yes.
And this would be, and it's pretty affordable even if they paid it themselves. So it's a good because all of those things that the kids get in the mail, my daughter just got one, it's $3,500. They could go and go to a leadership conference here for, $270. That would be a lot more affordable, and it's something that they can use later. So I hope they'll have a good time. Let us know how they, what they think of it.
I will, indeed.
All right, so we're comfortable moving forward with this? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, right, and last up, we have the district calendar.
Yes, one of our favorite topics. So we are looking at this one last time. This has gone through every possible stakeholder you could imagine. And the last thing we do want to do is also to post this on the website for community members to see between now and the board meeting. We do want to do that as well in case there's any questions. I know there's not a lot that could be changed this stage in the game, but just any questions at all as far as how do you develop the calendar, why start after Labor Day versus before, like that kind of stuff. So we'll answer all those questions as people have individual ones. But so the last time you saw this, there really wasn't much change. There was really two primary changes. One was the draft that you would have seen before had 4 early dismissal days built in, 1 each marking period. This has now been reduced to 2, and there was kind of some pro and cons to having, you know, the early dismissal days in there. And so we finally said, well, let's keep the 2 in there that are right around the conferences, because that's really what especially our elementary staff had asked for to help relieve kind of having some of those long days back to back. So that's the 2 that were left in. They're in 2 different marking periods, and then we said, we'll see how this goes, and we could always increase to 4 if we need to in the future. It also minimized the loss of instructional hours by doing that. And then the other change was, since we added some extra holidays in there, such as December 23rd and also a second Jewish holiday, then you'll see 2 places where I underlined that offices would be open for district office, so on the and the buildings. On the 23rd of December and then on the 14th of February. 14th of February we picked because we didn't want to open the offices on Martin Luther King Day. Or one of those other holidays that, based on the way they fell. And we certainly didn't want to open it on a Jewish holiday when we're saying it's important to us to give students off. We also think it's important to give staff off. So hence a different day was picked. So that's kind of, next year that'll look a little different because the way, depending on how the holiday falls in December, may not be an issue every year. But for now, those 2 days would be open. That's kind of a wash then for the extra days. So with your support, we would like to move this as a motion for the January board meeting. I'd be happy to answer any
I just
remaining
have
questions.
one question. For the 2 early dismissal days, at one of the meetings, I think it was Act 48, we talked about no kindergarten the whole day and providing those teachers. I don't know if that was still discussed at all, or
Yeah, I
'cause
think, so we
looks
discussed.
like it was ruled out, but
Yeah, I think the way this is probably going to end up is that AM will be in session one of those days, PM the other day.
okay. Okay. I thought they talked about how that was going to be really difficult for PM kids to have to come in AM to flip-flop, that would be harder on childcare. Remember that?
On the one day.
Yeah, if you're
Yeah.
used to coming PM, to have to come in on the AM. So they kind of discussed eliminating kindergarten altogether on both those days because they were around conference time, and that way we wouldn't have to provide a sub for kindergarten teachers at all, because the kindergarten teachers would still be there, but they could run their conferences all day. So I didn't know.
So the very last discussion that I was involved in on this one was that I guess the group thought that with plenty of notification that for that one day that schedules could be worked out.
Okay.
But interesting enough, you bring this up. This was one of the things that I think whichever group we talked about the most was for this.
Mm-hmm.
We certainly are okay hour-wise, as far as mandatory hours for the school year. Whichever way we go with that, we're going to be okay hour-wise for the kindergarten, as long as we're making up, things along the way and modifying schedules and so forth. So we'll be okay hour-wise. So that's not really the concern. I think, there is some flexibility the days are going to be in there. So as far as what time the dismissals happen, that's something that I still have the principals working on and our cafeteria staff and so forth. So we certainly have time to revisit how we want to do that, so we can make sure we give the community ample notification in time. So I do see us having that discussion again. That's just how it was left, kind of last.
That those would be the 2 days.
Yeah,
Okay.
so really what I did is I kind of said to principals, when we have an early dismissal day now for weather, what that looks like for your building, I'm going to need you to move that up approximately an hour if we're going to do something like this, because we wanted to try to get about 3 hours of meaningful time for the buildings, and then there would be building-based professional learning on those days. Do we serve lunch? Do we not serve lunch? We kind of had all those discussions, and at this point, it looks like we would serve it for elementary, but not for secondary on those, again, just on those 2 days.
Okay.
So, but we'll finalize the specific times of those dismissals, talk about the AM versus PM, who's going to be in session and so forth, and then we'll make sure we send that out with plenty of notification.
Okay.
That's why we didn't list specific times on here. We really did want to say, well, what do you want to accomplish that day? If you know what you want to accomplish that day as far as professional learning, that would be a lot easier to say when who should be here when.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Does anybody else
Anything
have
else?
questions?
Just a comment, I'm glad that we're putting the professional development throughout the year
Yeah.
instead of having it wait until the end
Yeah.
or in the beginning.
Okay, great. And we will move that forward as a motion as well for January board meeting. Thank you, everybody.
Okay. All right, public comment?
Sue Furlong, West Rockville Township. I have a couple, I'm gonna make a couple remarks that I think you need to look into. I'm not gonna ask the question because I only get 3 or 4 minutes here. First of all, I think it should be spelled out what the cancellation fees are for the band trip or any other trip, just so that we know we can keep on schedule and make sure we make our decisions in such a way that we don't incur any cancellation fees. A remark was made, I didn't quite understand the amount paid for the band trip. Did you say that would be collected directly between the travel company and the student?
When the students sign the contract, when we present the trip to the students and they sign the contract saying they're going to go,
This is
they put the down payment through
because that
with
information.
Peak Travel Agency,
Cancel
and then from there,
when you get it.
their billing, so when the next payment is due, they pay Peak directly, or Peak
Okay,
sends them an
so
email.
you're going to basically knock out the school district as the middleman on the collection. You might want to just double check on that. My experience back when I was on the board was they needed to funnel that through the school to make sure that it was covered with school insurance as a school-supported trip. And that we wanted to do the same thing, but because of that technicality, we were told that it was not a wise thing to do. So I would just double check that with the business office to make sure you're not cutting out your insurance.
Okay.
I'm curious how you got to the number of 200 for your reservation. Just be careful that you really can keep that 200 because there again, if you sign a contract for 200 and you get 170, you'll have 30 cancellations, and that gets real expensive real quick. The Key Club, you were talking about fundraising. I believe our policy is that if the group does a fundraiser, the money has to be spent in such a way that benefits all members, not just 4 or 5. And that's what I recall about that, without looking into it. But I would double check that. The annual calendar here, I don't know why you didn't include summer school. That's part of the district's activities. That's something that you do every year. The other thing is, last year, we had a lot of absences. In fact, the entire schools shut down around the 4th of July, and as a taxpayer, I believe I ended up paying regular wages. I would like for you to commit that if any of the schools close, to make that a longer weekend, any personnel not showing up for work must use vacation time. I don't need to pay for that, okay? I don't mind if they go, but that should be used as a vacation day.
Sue, excuse me a second. Which day were you talking about for that?
Last year, the 4th landed on a Wednesday,
4th of
and so
July.
a lot of people took off on Thursday. And now, I'm presuming that we do a 4-10 work day in the summer.
Correct.
That should also be on your calendar here. I don't know why it's omitted, and just put it that it's a presumed. It's been that way for the last 5, 6, 7 years, so, and then shade out the days that the, the Fridays that would normally be posted. I think this is incomplete, okay? I'll just make it real quick. But last year, the 4th was on Wednesday, a couple of buildings closed on Friday. Personally, they did not take, from my understanding, they did not use vacation days. It was like, oh, well, it doesn't matter. No, it does matter. If I'm paying you regular wages, you need to be there. If you don't want to be there, use your vacation day. That's how I feel about it. And I would shade in the days with a footnote for the 410 work week so that people know what days the school will be closed in the summer. And I would put summer school tentatively in the schedule. I don't know why it's not there. That's the district calendar for the year.
Well, I can answer a couple of the questions. I'll wait till you're finished, though.
That's pretty much it.
Okay. So let's start with the last one. The summer school, there's multiple types of summer, like, there isn't just like a summer school for academics. There's so many different summer programs. That's why that's a whole separate schedule that gets posted.
I would put in the academics. Your core summer school program should be on this schedule so that people can plan their holidays and their vacations. The optional ones, I know you're talking about band, you're talking about drama. I understand that, but those people, those participants will have to have more flexibility, but the general population should understand when the academic summer school will be held.
Thank you for your feedback.
Thank you.
Oh, the other,
Thank you.
the
Oh.
Any other public comment?
Yeah, and just one last thing, as far as the cancellation, insurance coverage and details and things, we did post, music department did provide us with the itinerary. So you'll see 2 separate attachments for tonight's meeting. One of them is their trip template, which is the overall summary. But the itinerary is up there now, and if you go to page 3, there is a page that talks about insurance and trip cancellation costs and interruption and delays and all that stuff. You'll see that on there. It's the one that has like the purplish box on there.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I just make a quick comment? Because I meant to ask a question
Yeah.
earlier, sorry. Can I ask you a quick question yet about the Key Club? Yes. Only because I've been thinking of like, I understand what Sherry's point is about the 1080 and it was raised by the club efforts, and then these 4 to 6 students will get to basically be able to have the benefit of that even though the rest of the kids don't. Is there anything in the club laws or bylaws that says that you can't do something like that?
It's in
Like-
my policy.
Or like the club I'm talking about like every club has like a bylaw or rules set of hand guidelines. So I didn't know if there was something in those guidelines that would turn around and say if it's not used by so many percentage of the kids, like they can or can't. I'm just wondering. I don't.
That's a district policy.
No, I'm talking about the club.
I know what you're saying, but I'm
policy.
saying the district policy would override the club policy. And our district says if you have the whole club doing a fundraiser, all the members have to benefit. That's not up to the club, it's up to the district, and that's our policy.
Okay.
All right, I think we need to look into that more then, before we move forward with that.
Your club's not, you're talking about money that's donated, not fundraising, correct?
Well, some is fundraised, some is donated.
Okay.
So there's a mixture.
Yeah.
Okay, so we probably just need a little bit more clarity on that.
Yeah, I'm just asking because I'm thinking
Over-
for the club, like I'm not sure about that either. Like I didn't know if it's who overrides what.
Good
I mean,
idea.
you still, I would think, have to come back all, but all
Okay.
of them have to be in line with each other, so.
Okay.
Club and district. so.
We'll get clarification on it and then
Yeah.
in the next few days, look into it. Okay,
Troy,
Right.
sorry, can you make sure that it states music department trip and not band trip?
Mm-hmm.
Right, when it's presented.
How's it on our?
Yeah.
I think it did say.
it does say it on our
Yeah.
agendas.
On our
Yeah,
agenda.
we're gonna list it just like the agenda, music
Just to
department
make
trip.
sure.
It
Yep.
does
Yeah.
say music department trip.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's an easy one.
We're good?
All right, thanks, everybody.
All right, thank you.